Good morning, one and all. I hope you are well, and welcome to this morning's video. So, I have two pairs on watch this morning, and those are dollar CAD and sugar USD. So, I would argue my favorite of the bunch is dollar CAD. So, let's break that down for you now. I'm looking at this pair because we have retraced, if we just take this move here, okay, so I'm measuring from here to here, we have retraced about 80 to 90% of that move. Okay. And it looks likely to me that we will come up now that we've broken out of all of this consolidation here. There was a lot of volume generated here. Okay. Which will likely give this the legs to push up. And now we have broken out of all of this. It looks likely to me that we are moving up to take out this high, which this high ever so slightly near missed too. And we do know that on the higher time frames, we typically break above highs, such as this one, if we're going to move to the downside. Okay, so the fact that this near missed it, it didn't even meet it ever so slightly, gives me an indication that this is just an impulse correction continuation to push higher, especially after all of this volume was generated here. Okay, so if we just measure, so if I measure, I'm doing this crudely, but if we just measure that there, okay, so I'm measuring the volume within it, the bottom of the structure and the top, measure that on the break. We've kind of fulfilled that target, but a lot of the time, what we will do, we will times two that, so we will move twice the amount of the height of this volume, if that makes sense. Okay, so we've potentially still got room to go. If we just zoom in as well, there's nothing on the at the moment. There's nothing really on the left. We've even broken above this little high here. There's nothing on the left to be concerned about for moves to the downside. So that kind of adds fuel to the idea that this is just a consolidation to push higher. If we just zoom in a little bit, you can see that we have exactly what I was anticipating. We have this low here, okay, which near misses to here. The fact that this near miss to here is giving me an indication that this is where the volume is, okay. The fact that we got close to it again and near miss to it again is giving me the indication even more so that this is the area of volume, even though there's a little consolidation sat just below. And we kind of have this structure now. We have this, which breaks below this, but leaves a gap to this. And then this is exactly what I was anticipating, some kind of middle section like this that potentially near misses to here or narrowly taps into it. And then we push down again to complete the structure, tap into where the volume is, and then move to the upside, okay? Especially as we've left a gap here to that high there. Okay, so everything's is doing exactly what I was anticipating previously. We don't always know how something's going to do what it does, but we can hazard a guess as to what it will do. Okay, so what are we looking for? Because we have to, once you zoom down to the lower time frames, it's a good idea a lot of the time to zoom back out. So let's zoom back out. Because we are potentially quite far into this run here, okay, where there could be deeper pullbacks, and because of the fact that many people might start to take profit here, which causes the deeper pullbacks, one of the reasons. Okay, you have to be mindful of that. Okay, so what does that mean? Being mindful of that? Well, in this instance, for me, that means I won't be taking any risk entries from the edge of structure, especially as this has become quite a very large structure now. Okay, we also have a little consolidation sat below, as I was just anticipating. I'm not too concerned about this, but my rules typically are if we just measure this, so I'm measuring this structure here, okay, when a little consolidation like that is less than 50% of the length of the height of this away, if that makes sense, okay, then I only look for 15-minute entries, okay? I don't look for a little push up and a 5-minute flag. What I personally look for is a push up from the area of value, a tap into it, a push up, and a 15-minute continuation, especially when we are as far into the higher time frame run as we potentially are, if that makes sense. Okay, so these are my rules, tried and tested. Others can trade what they like, but those are my rules based on my data. Okay, so what I'll be looking for is a tap into the area of value, a push up, 15-minute continuation, and then I'll be able to manage it to here. okay, for something in the region of 5 to 6, and then to there. Why that's significant is because it's 90% of this range. Okay, I would set the take profit at that high there, because the 90% area, or the sharp move that falls just before it, is typically where price can pull back deeply, even if it's going to continue in the forecasted direction. And that would give us something in the region of 6% to work with, depending on the size of the stop loss. So that's what I'm going to be looking for from dollar CAD. And that kind of ties in ever so quickly with what the DXY is doing. So you can see, if we just zoom out to the dollar index ever so quickly, we have broken out of all of this consolidation now and above all of these highs, and it looks likely to me that we will follow through up to this area here. If that was to happen, then dollar CAD would likely do something similar. Okay, so that is dollar CAD. Sugar is a little one that I've got on here, just as a kind of little additional that I've been looking at this week. So the sequence is not quite as good with this one, but we have this high here. Okay, we break above, we start to move to the downside, we trap the sellers in too early, we move to the upside again, and then it moves to the downside, but it's moving down in a bit of a kind of swinging manner. So already this is giving me a clue that this, this is, it's going to be moving in keeping with how it's been moving so far. Okay, maybe something like that. But one of the things that makes me think that it will continue to move lower is because if we just zoom in, so we broke above here, we kind of retested this. People think it's going to the moon. They get washed out. Okay, the buyers here. But what we do have is, you can see even on the monthly chart that we have tapped into this high here, scoop back up in keeping with how we've been moving. It looks likely to me, especially after this monthly candle there, that we will move lower to take out this low and potentially this low, that this low near missed too. Okay, so if we just zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so initially we start to move down very correctively. We have this corrective wave that then drops out. So we've dropped out of this now. Okay, and we have this kind of M style pattern here, where we have a lot of volume generated. We break out of that as it becomes more neutral, and these tend to eventually be quite aggressive, although not necessarily immediately. Okay, so this to me looks very clear. It's just the sequence which is not quite as good. Okay, you can see now that we are coming back up. You have to zoom down to the 4 hour, okay, to have a look at this. I'm just analyzing some things on the fly. Now, one of the reasons I'm looking for a push lower is because if you look at the last daily close, this was very bullish, okay? When these candles, when you get a bullish candle like this with a big wick above it, they tend to get filled a lot of the time, okay? And then when you have the same thing on the 4 hour chart as well, that increases the likelihood of that happening. So we've technically just pushed ever so slightly above here, but when you get this on the daily chart and on the 4 hour chart, and especially when you get this, okay, this is giving me a clue that this is a little bit of a, potentially a little bit of a trap to trap the sellers in too early, because of this 4 hour and because of yesterday's daily close. Okay, the other clue for me, and I've seen this loads of times, right, when you get a structure like this, so you get a lot of volume here, okay, what these tend to end up doing, these structures, is doing something like that. Okay, where you get something more like that when you've got this kind of descending like channel like this with a lot of volume in it. That's just something I've noticed. And are there any reasons why price might do that? What I've just illustrated? Well, yes, because we have the daily candle. Let's go back to that. We have the daily bullish daily candle with a big wick above it, bullish 4 hour candle with a big wick above it. We have what I've just illustrated, which typically more often than not turns into something like that. Is there a reason why price might do that? Well, yes, because one, we've only ever so slightly just tapped above. We didn't fully break above. We also have potentially the back end of all of this volume and this sat here. I'm not so concerned about this, but we may be forming something like this, okay, where we kind of maybe retest the back end of this. I'm not overly convinced on that, but these are confluence factors that I'm stacking, okay? So because of all of this, because of the sequence as a whole, how price has been moving down, it would. That's the other reason why price might do something like that, or it might, for example, do that and then break back in, because that's how it's been moving. If we zoom out, it's been moving in that kind of swinging manner that I was talking about, and price might just do the same thing again. Might just snip out, you know, and keep moving in that swinging manner. So what I'm going to be looking for this for looking for from this pair today is I'm going to be looking for more confirmation. I'm going to be looking for more of a push down, followed by a 15-minute continuation. Once again, not a 5. In this instance, not because of how far it is into a run per se, but just because of the nature and how price has been moving, and because of all those variables, this would be a bit more of a weighted entry than a 5-minute entry. Okay, what I am anticipating, I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't happen and it just pulls back up because of that 4-hour and because of that daily candle. And if that happens, we break above, maybe we move down from there and then get something like this after breaking properly above this structure, and then maybe we get the entry. But we shall see. I'm just going to be monitoring this. I can't remember when this opens. I think this opens about 9 o'clock, sugar. But that is what I'm going to be looking for from this pair, folks, and from these pairs. And then I would target that low down there that I was talking about, the higher time frame low, which narrowly misses that low there. Okay. So that's my entries. That's what I'm going to be looking for. I shall bid you a great day, a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.